Let her say she can't choke, she don't know what to do.
She's gotta go. Bye. I know that you love this flow. We just chillin', we just villains. We just chillin', we some villains.
I love it up, get the ammo and I stick it up. I grab a shot on the top of shots. I bust the clip and I let it dip. I make it poop, make it explode. Touch your toes, hit your nose. Can you touch your toes? Simon telling you what to do. My commando, hit in the bando, tapping the bando, Rambo, Rocky,
And we are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Port. I am your host, Brian Barnaby, and I am joined by Matt. What's going on, man?
What up, dude? Good to be
back.
Good
to
be back.
And also, Geno. Been a long time since you've been in the studio. What's going on, man?
We're back. Finally in the studio. This is great. I miss being here. Do not show him. He does not need to be shown. This place looks amazing. It's been a while since I've been back. A lot of great stuff. So happy to be back.
Should stay home, dude.
Oh my god.
And we also have Tony over on the couch. What's going on, Tony?
Gibson ball.
Yo.
Right behind you.
Just slide your Yeah, just keep sliding. Keep going.
We actually want the ball in the photo.
Yeah.
And always, we're joined by our super producer, Mike. What's going on, man?
Left.
He has no mic.
What's up, man?
Oh, yeah, my bad.
He has no mic because I am more important.
And then also we'll have Grasso as usual to talk some NBA. But we're going to start as we have for the past week or so in baseball. And we've been waiting for this, especially the three of us, Mike included, the AL East preview. And why not start with the best franchise in sports history, the New York Yankees. So really excited to talk some Yanks. And obviously when you think about the offseason, the first thing that comes to mind is they re-signed DJ. We talked about this in other episodes that needed to be done. He really sets the tone, at the top of the lineup. And then, other than that, kind of some smaller moves. They let Tanaka, his contract run out. He goes back to Japan, which, he was a fan favorite, but I think, it was time for him to go. We saw some declining out of him. And then James Paxton, he was a free agent as well. He goes back to Seattle. And in to replace them, they go with Jamison Tyone and Corey Kluber. So I like those moves. And just when we think about the Yankees starting pitching, and obviously we're waiting for Sevy to come back. He's struggled with injuries the last couple of years as he recovers from Tommy John. What are your initial thoughts about what they did with the pitching staff this season?
I mean, I'm definitely a fan. Like losing Tanaka and losing Tanaka. Who else? Paxton.
Yeah.
They filled it right in, dude, with trading for Tyone. That was huge. And then obviously Kluber. I'm looking forward to seeing what Kluber can kind of bring.
First start tomorrow.
To the table. Yeah. So looking forward to that. But I'm very happy with how they kind of handled losing Tanaka and I'm like Paxton. So I think we got a really good rotation. Obviously Cole, starting things off, and then we know that that fifth starter is kind of like up in the air still, but I mean, good problem to have, I would say, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Jamison Tyone is clearly going to go on and throw complete games every game because he threw 6 pitches in his first start. So he's the best pitcher that's ever lived. The rotation, hopefully, looks good. Looks good on paper, but again, a lot of uncertainty surrounding the rotation. Who knows what to expect because we don't really know what we're getting out of a few of those guys. So that'll be the I think, For the Yankees this year, that is the deciding factor, whether they get a lot or not out of their main guys. But the depth is there too, so that helps.
Yeah.
Tony, honestly, we know you're not a Yankee fan, but just objectively, did you think they made the right moves in the rotation?
Yeah, well, I really love the Yankees. I think they're the best team in the world. You know what I mean? I think they're really good, and I actually hate the Mets now. So, yeah, and my mustache is looking good.
All right, cool.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks, we appreciate it.
And then so I think for the fifth, the fifth starter, they have actually 4 options. Because you have Herman, coming back from the suspension, Garcia, who I'm really excited about. I would love to see him really, seize that role. He had some good outings last year. And then Jordan Montgomery, who had a nice playoff appearance as well, relieving him actually.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see who wins that competition. And then, you look at the offense. I mean, that was really needed to be done. And once again, we've said this for the last couple of years. The whole thing is the offense being healthy. They've had the most injuries in the league the last couple of years.
Brutal.
And of course, it starts with Judge and Stanton. What do you guys see, on the offense? I mean, you feel like this is finally the year they're due to really have some luck on the health side of things.
Yeah, I mean, you'd hope so, dude. It's been 2 years of constant just back and forth, all on the DL, off the DL. So for Stanton and Judge in particular, but dude, all you can do is hope that they stay healthy and that they're doing the right things that they need to do to keep their bodies in shape and healthy too. So, dude, because we need a full season with Judge and Stanton. It's been too long, bro. It's it's been like 3 years, dude.
It feels like 10.
Yeah. So, but I mean, other than those two guys, obviously, so happy about PJ coming back because finally, bro. I mean, we need a guy that can hit for contact, dude, not just swing for the fucking fences all the time. So we have him locked in for the next 6 years, which is great. I'm looking for Glaber too to kind of pick things up at short because obviously we know his offense is just like ridiculous. He's as good as they get, at the plate. So Luke Voight too, another guy.
Led the American League in homers last year.
Yep. So offensively, dude, we're straight, and I love Clint Frazier starting in left.
Yeah,
I really do, and I love his bat speed, dude. I think he's gonna have a really good year.
Yeah, I mean, I think Clint Frazier is probably another one of those guys who may be able to not only add the power, but maybe add some contact as well. I feel like his bat has the most potential to be that another good all-around bat. Him and probably Glaber too, because Glaber we know can hit the ball really well, but it seems he's gone more for power than contact recently, which you don't typically expect from a shortstop to begin with. In terms of Judge and Stanton staying healthy, I know that Judge had talked about how he doesn't want to throw his body around all the time anymore. He realizes he can't do that, throw 275 pounds around. So that is definitely something to look out for. But having Frazier and having a left fielder and then also Gardner that they can platoon and work these guys through and DH, that'll be good for them.
Yeah. And I think two other keys, and I've been saying this a while, and some people laugh at me, but that's fine. I think Gary Sanchez is going to be starting. If there is an all-star game, he's going to be starting for the American League. I know he's had a tough couple years, like you said, he homered yesterday, and I just think there's too much talent there to just, completely go to waste. So I think he's going to have a big year. And then I really want to see, and by the way, happy birthday, Miguel Andujar. Today's
all right, before we continue, Miguel Andujar is my absolute favorite Yankee of all time. I love Miguel Andujar more than anyone in the entire world.
Eugene Pettit?
Yeah, literally, though. I am Miguel Andujar's biggest fan. You guys don't know that, but my buddies at home, too. I literally have been following him since
at home.
Okay. Yeah, the buddies that I have at home. He's not a buddy I have at all.
The shittiest state ever.
Yeah, no, New Jersey, the greatest state ever. But Miguel Andujar, ever since he had that 3-for-4 game in Detroit, I've been on his bandwagon. I love him so much, and I just wanted to make that abundantly known.
Yeah, I mean,
but as I say that, he also probably needs to go somewhere else because for him to succeed, I don't think it's in the New York Yankees uniform.
Yeah, because where's he going to play? I mean, third or they would. I know. Remember they were putting him in the outfield a little bit.
I think he will play it third.
Yeah,
he can go to like Detroit or Kansas City and go start over there, play third for one of those teams, crush it, and then get to be like a good. He just needs confidence. I mean, he should have won Rookie of the Year.
Oh yeah, that was
should have won Rookie of the
highway
Year.
robbery.
So I mean, the guy's talent clearly with the bat. It's just about getting the fielding better. So
yeah. And the thing I just say, because he hasn't played the last couple of years, I think trading him now, his value is kind of too low.
Very low,
and we saw that, I love how he's a gap hitter. We don't have enough of that. He's got the power, but he also makes contact. So I would just love a way to figure out to keep him. I mean, of course,
me too.
It's just Urshela is so much better defensively in third, so that is kind of tough. And then if they could have traded Voight, you could have worked something out there, move Urshela to first. but they weren't able to get equal value. So, but like we always say, it's a good problem to have, and I just think it would be nice. I mean, and we've seen with the injuries, you need to give guys days off. So I think you might be able to rotate him in every couple of days.
I hope so, because I'd like to see him stick.
I mean, last year, of course, he had the problems. He also had I don't think it was Tommy John, but he had an elbow situation 2 years ago after his rookie season. So he hasn't really been able to get the chance to get going because Urshela took over and never gave that spot back. Or they had, maybe somebody else there, but still, I'm looking for him maybe to add a little bit of that because he was contact. He had led the most doubles by a Yankees rookie ever. So that's a guy who can really
double machine.
Yeah, he was great. Definitely a guy to add to that lineup possibly.
We should with the bullpen too.
Yeah,
we still have a solid bullpen. Only obviously big loss I would say was Canely going to the Dodgers. But dude, I like who we have in the pen, dude, with Shane Green especially, and we'll see, dude. I mean, I think that's probably it's funny because the bullpen's been like the strength the last couple years, but I feel like now, besides maybe the starting rotation, that might be the biggest kind of question, maybe.
Yeah, bullpen is for me personally. I don't know about you, Barnes.
Last year, the pen was not good.
Yeah, no, I mean it was, but there was talent there. It's just that I think Canley dropping out and getting hurt. I think that was a big problem. But Barnes, what do you think about the bullpen?
Yeah, I mean, I like the move bringing back Justin Wilson. I don't think really anybody really talked about that. I think that was good. And the thing is, it's funny with the bullpen. Like you said, the talent's there, and you look at the numbers are good, but it's just sometimes those key spots, Britton and Chapman, letting them runs, Chad Green, the same thing, but you have to just go by the ability, and we know the ability's there. So I think combining all those guys and then also bringing in Darren O'Day, a guy who might need to get a couple outs in the 5th or 6th inning. I mean, those are the type of guys you need to have in a bullpen. So, I'm confident about him. And I just, we talked about him yesterday. I really wish they still had Betances. Oh,
I know.
But I know it's like one of those things. What are you going to do? I mean, he's not there. So, but I think they have enough in the bullpen.
He's with Tony now.
Yes. And it'll be exciting to see them, out there this season. Moving on to another team in the division,
up north.
In Toronto, we have the Blue Jays, and obviously they signed George Springer in the offseason. I mean, that was huge for them. Add another bat to a lineup that already features Vlad Jr., Bichette, Biggio, and Gurriel. I mean, that offense is stacked. I mean, I think this Blue Jays team has a lot of potential, and they also added Marcus Semien, who 2 years ago hit 33 home runs. That's kind of an underrated, move as well. So I think they have one of the best offenses in the American League.
Yeah, I think so too. I think behind the Yankees, because I would still put, not to sound like a Yankee boy, but I would still put the Yankees offense probably the number one in the American League. But yeah, the Blue Jays lineup is stacked, dude. They're also really young. They kind of remind me of like the Yankees from 2017. When we brought up all the
very much so, yeah.
You know what I mean? And yeah, man, I think that they improved their rotation as well. And these young guys, these three, like that three-headed monster, and Biggio, Bichette, and Vlad Jr. It's that's a scary triple threat right there. Not to mention all the other guys that they have in that lineup too. And they get Steven Matz to throw into their starting rotation as well. Matt's like, whatever, but we'll see. Maybe he can find his old Met days, bring him up to Toronto.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, the Blue Jays offense is tremendous and a lot of potential there to be really, really good. I mean, I put them right up there with the Yankees. I think they probably have more contact than the Yankees have. The Yankees probably have more power. So they kind of, if you're looking for power and you're looking for, you got guys on base and you want to hit a home run, you're probably going with the Yankees. If you're, looking for, you got a runner on second in the 10th inning of a baseball game nowadays, you probably want, just a little slap single by Craig Biggio or something like that, or Calvin Biggio. But yeah, I mean, I think the Blue Jays are the second best team in the I think the Blue Jays are the second best team in the AL East. So I think that'll be definitely be something to look out for.
Yeah, and I think for them, honestly, it's going to come down to pitching. We mentioned Matz. Ryu joined the team last year. He's pretty good. Robbie Ray. They also added him at the deadline. Tanner Roark, Ross Stripling. These guys are all like 3 and 4 starters. So I think that's going to hold them back. And especially if they make the postseason, I mean, looking at those guys, game one, you're not scared, and then you combine that with the bullpen. I mean, Kirby Yates was one of the best closers in the game a couple of years ago. Injuries and ineffectiveness last year. So, that's kind of a question mark, but you would think, he'd be able to bounce back. And then you look at the bullpen, I mean, not really too impressive. Tyler Chatwood, the former starter, and then the former Yankees, David Phelps and AJ Cole.
Got Cole too,
So those seem like guys that are middle relievers, not setup men.
Yeah. So their bullpen's probably their biggest question mark.
They still have I don't know if you mentioned him, the closer though, right? From Houston.
No, he's gone.
No, he's gone.
I forgot where he went.
Who, Giles?
Giles, yeah.
Oh, he's a psycho.
Yeah,
it's like bad.
I think he just punched himself in the face.
Yeah,
right now.
he knocked himself out.
Yeah.
That's why nobody can find him.
But that was one of the craziest things ever to see a couple of years ago.
But yeah, I think I mean I don't know what you guys think. We obviously don't have anybody else to talk to on this podcast to really get any opinion from. So I think that I think the Blue Jays are probably the second best team in the AL East.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I think they'll make the postseason again, and it's just another step forward for them. After missing it for a while, and then onto the team that won the division last year and also made it to the World Series. To the surprise of a lot of people, the Tampa Rays, and once again they lose some big names in the offseason. Charlie Morton, we covered that yesterday going to Atlanta, and then they trade Blake Snell to San Diego.
I thought it was off this whole time.
I don't think they got a great package for him back. And, to replace him, they bring back Chris Archer, who, I mean, that trade is probably one of the most lopsided trades we've ever seen
history.
For Glasnow and Meadows. I mean, that was a disaster. But I really wouldn't be surprised, the way the Rays organization is, him to bounce back. Maybe not be the Chris Archer that used to kind of almost torture the Yankees at times, but just to be a dependable starter. What do you guys just think about, the Rays this season after losing those big names?
Well, it's crazy that they even made the World Series last year. That's just crazy to even say. But they lost a few guys. I don't think they're going to be as potent or as good as they were last year. Obviously, shortened season last year, so it seemed like the Rays could kind of take advantage of that, like a 60-game season. And I think that they're going to feel those losses, too, especially with the pitching, with Morton. He was like their number one guy last year. Now he's not there anymore. So offensively, Meadows is a guy who I look at down there and is like, I think he's probably their best hitter. Maybe Longoria too, or not Longoria, Kiermaier.
About Randy.
Yeah.
Randy the
postseason hero.
The postseason guy. We'll see with him, dude. It's gonna be crazy to watch and see if he can just pick up where he left off, or if he maybe takes a little slip. Or he just keeps banging it.
You know what? I just looked to my right here and I realized that there's actually somebody else on a mic over here. So I think we're gonna let him talk. Audience member, you just say your name first before you hop on the mic and let us know what you think about the Rays.
My name's Tony, first time, long time fan. I want to thank you guys for having me on the show. It's a great opportunity. No, but the Rays, I think they're not going to be nearly as good as they were last season. We mentioned the pitching losses they have, and I think that's kind of a hole there. I mean, they still have Glass now, obviously, but like Yarborough, I feel like kind of struggled in the postseason last year. He's not nearly as good as like what Snell was. And their offense, I feel like, is also kind of a toss up. Like Matt was saying, like a Rosarina, obviously, like he did great in the postseason, did great for the Rays. Even Choi as well, but can they kind of carry that over to this season? I think it's kind of like a big toss up, especially with, the two previous teams you guys been talking about. I think they're going to get banged up in the regular season too, playing those teams a lot. So.
Yeah, and we saw him struggle to score in the postseason. I mean, I think the way they pitched, they would have won the World Series if they had a little more offense. And shout out Corey Saccone. He just on the chat said Wander Franco time. He's actually I think it's 21-year-old shortstop or 20-year-old shortstop.
Number one prospect in baseball.
He hasn't played above single A, but one of those things I'm sure the service time plays into it a little bit. But an organization like the Rays, I mean, they're going to end up trading these guys anyway before they give him a contract. So I think it's one of those things. Why not bring him up when he's ready? Like as soon as he's ready. I mean, that would be a huge boost to the lineup to get someone electric like that.
That's the Rays thing, though. Like you would expect it. You feel like this is the year, especially with him getting up there in age in terms of, obviously we're used to these guys coming in around this time. So, and making an impact. A few guys have had, earlier impacts, but we're kind of expecting, we're expecting, I think I would expect Franco to come up this year and probably make an impact, like you said. And hey, listen, if Meadows can play well, or Rosarena can play well, or can hit well, and you bring up Franco and he hits well, it's a decent lineup. And I think, I want to talk about G-Man Choi. I know Tony just brought him up. That's a guy that if Luke Voight isn't playing as well as he is right now for the New York Yankees, I think a lot of people would be on Cashman's back for letting him go because he's been playing very well for the Rays. So we'll see if he can keep that up as well.
Unfortunately, he did well against the Yankees.
Yeah, exactly.
2 homers against Cole. I know he at least
had 1. I think he had 2. Yeah.
I mean, which was I couldn't believe that, but I think the way it is with the Rays, you look at them every year. They're going to be underrated going into the year, and at least be respectable. You know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily. Yeah,
it's the rotation and the starters and the openers and whatever they do. They don't have the guy. They don't. Right. I don't think they have the guy because I don't think Glasnow is the guy. I think we've seen that he has struggled at times. Right. Snell was the guy. Snell you can go to in a big moment, and he's going to get you that 5-6 innings, whatever you need. I don't think they have that guy, and I think that's going to be the biggest problem for them this year.
Yeah. And the thing is, the opener works in a 60-game season, but 162 games.
Well, they did use it a lot before in the season before
that. That bullpen get beat up.
Yes, exactly.
Last year it was fresh, so I think that's going to make a big difference. But it'll be interesting to see what they do this year.
Do the Yankees and Rays continue this war into the season?
I don't know. Tony, from an objective opinion, because I know what my personal opinion is that the Rays will be, they're just not competition for the Yankees this year as of right now on paper.
Right.
But what do you think about the Rays and how does the Rays match up to the rest of the AL East?
I mean, I would agree with what you're saying. At least to the Yankees, they don't match up, and to the Blue Jays, I think that rivalry now shifts to Yankees Blue Jays. Just because I feel like the way those teams are, they're both similar. They're both, bat heavy, and their pitchers are kind of toss-ups right now. But as opposed to, in terms of the rest of the division, I feel like the Rays they're better than the Red Sox and the Orioles for sure. So, but I don't think they're gonna be stuck at third. They're not gonna match up to Toronto or to.
Yeah, they're kind of in no man's land over there.
Yeah,
like a middle ground.
And
great analysis.
And speaking of no man's land, but just probably a tier lower, the Boston Red Sox. Coming off winning a World Series a few years ago, they have to part ways with Cora last year, and just end up having a terrible year. End up finishing last, actually. So that was a quick, and then of course they bring Cora back, which was kind of a surprise to me. I thought they would catch a lot more heat for that, but seems like everyone's like, oh, we love Alex Cora.
We won him a World Series.
Yeah.
We didn't win him, but he was.
But just because of being behind, the sign stealing, scheme. And then also, they trade Benintendi to the Royals. So, you lost Betts last offseason. You just trade Benintendi. I mean, you still have, JD Martinez, but is he declining? I mean, we saw him have a great half of the year when he came over, then a decent year after, and then kind of fell off. And then you have Bogarts and Devers. So, and then you have Alex Verdugo, who they got from Mookie Betts. I mean, do you think they
Bradley
have
Jr. still there?
No.
Where did he go again?
I think he's a free agent. We thought he was.
Oh yeah, I got bamboozled yesterday.
Wow.
But just as far as the offense goes,
I
mean, do you guys think they have a decent offense, or they're going to struggle to score a little bit?
No, I think they're definitely going to struggle to score. I also think the Benintendi trade is a clear sign of kind of waving the white flag.
Happy.
We need to
hate him.
We're in a big rebuild.
Yeah.
They did get Kevin McCarthy. They in the bullpen.
Big time reliever.
Oh yeah. Big time reliever.
I mean, he could challenge for the closer job. I mean, with Matt Barnes there, I mean, why not?
Dude,
Barnes?
It's fun. Yeah. Barnes is a UConn guy.
Yeah.
But there's not much there, dude. There's just not much there. There's no meat on that lineup, really. And
it's,
the pitching, not really much to speak of there either.
It's good riddance to Andrew Benintendi for me. I hate him. He is the fucking worst. Because literally every time he would step up to the plate, he would do something against the Yankees. He'd do something, and I would just literally Literally hate him. I think the best bats in that lineup are probably Devers, and then Verdugo looks like he's making his way up that I guess list of people who are good on that team. But JD Martinez, you never know. He could come back out here and he could play really well. And I think a big problem for Martinez maybe last year was the fact that he didn't have bets in front of him. Right. Or around him in any sense in the lineup. So I think that's obviously a problem because he is then the guy. Yeah. And Devers is a guy who has to step up. But Devers has been playing really well, and I think last year he had a good year. So that'll be a guy that they'll look towards to be in the middle of that lineup and to drive in runs. But for me, it's not even the lineup. They might not be able to score enough runs. It's their pitching is just abysmal. I mean,
their starting rotation, literally, there's nobody.
Yeah, you
guys aren't believers in Evaldi. I mean, he had a great tenure with the Yankees.
He's apparently hitting some numbers in spring training that Red Sox fans are happy about. But listen, he's also caused his problems for the Yanks too. Yeah. That season that they won the World Series, he was the worst. But yeah, I don't see it. Who knows what Sale's going to look like? Even before the Tommy John stuff, he was looking like he was starting to slow down a little bit, lose a little bit of that velocity. So who knows what he looks like when he comes back? In terms of Cora, I don't know. I mean, if you got to bring back a guy who knows the players, I guess, and that'll help at least the locker room. So we'll see where they go.
It's kind of crazy too because now Cora comes in like two out of like the opposite end of the spectrum now, as opposed to the first go around. Yeah. Came into like a stacked team, dude. Yeah. Their pitching was great, obviously led by Sale. And then they still had Betts and Bogarts and Benintendi. Now he's coming in and this team's looking to pretty much do a rebuild. Yeah. So it'll be interesting.
Tony, what's your thoughts on the Sox?
So I think I'm kind of in the same boat as you guys. I mean, their offense, it could be decent, honestly. Like like we mentioned Martinez, Bogarts, and Devers. If they do have big years, they also picked up Kike Hernandez as well.
True, I forgot that. That's a good call. Yeah,
which is good, and it is. Alex Cora, Matt made a pretty good point where he's kind of now into a team that's not very good. I mean, we talked about Verdugo a little bit. He's the longest tenured outfielder, I think, for the Red Sox now. He's only been there since 2017, but he hasn't really proven himself. He hasn't really made much noise at all. And then, like we said, their pitching is going to be pretty subpar if they are able, to score those runs.
Yeah, Kike is a good call on there because I think he can definitely add. But that's another guy where you're like, where are they going? Exactly. Why is he going there? What is he going to add to that team? They're not a Kike Hernandez away from being up near the top of the AL East. So you wonder where they were going there.
And it just reminds me, we've seen them, obviously the past 10, 15 years, most of the time they're competitive, but those years that they're terrible, their pitching looks just like this.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of thinking that's what's going to happen, and they're going to be near.
Yeah, I mean, if Eduardo Rodriguez and Nathan Eovaldi are your aces, that's probably
very Garrett Richards is your big offseason addition.
Yeah, and we know. I mean, listen, we talk about the Angels all the time not having pitching. Yeah. Garrett Richards is the perfect example of that. So it's going to be. I think it's going to be a tough season for them. But again, I think they could score some runs. I don't think that they won't score any runs. I just don't think the pitching is going to be enough to hold the high power offenses of the Rays, the Jays, and the Yankees for however many games they have.
And I'm hoping to see the Yankees hit a couple homers off out of Vino after he served a bunch
they got
last year.
No, they don't need to do that. They know exactly what to do. They're going to stand in the box, and everybody's going to become Aaron Hicks. They're just going to stand there and they're just going to walk. He's going to walk the bases loaded, and he's going to get taken out.
Yeah. So
that slider that'll go into the
and hey, I mean, even if Boston has a down year, I still always look forward. The Yankees Boston games. I mean, the atmosphere is always there, and especially with the fans coming back, I'm sure
best rivalry in sports.
The stadiums are going to be electric. So looking forward to that. And then the other team in the division, the Baltimore Orioles. And once again, I mean, you just look at them as a whole. I mean, last year to start, they were competitive and were actually in contention for maybe, I don't know, the first third of the year before really falling back. But you just look at this roster and the pitching, which, in past years has gotten pummeled. You kind of feel like that's going to be the same situation again. I mean, John Means, I guess, is going to be the ace. I mean, I guess he's not the worst pitcher in the world, but he's nowhere near an ace. And then I mean, they bring in King Felix, who actually opted out last year, comes back. We've seen him in decline for a year. So I just think it's one of those things where they're going to get lit up from the pitching, and the offense, they don't have too much. But one thing I do have to say, which is a great story, that Trey Mancini makes his return from colon cancer. Shout out to him. I mean, that's a great story.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But, yeah, I mean, to your point, Barnes, like there's really not much to go in depth here with the Orioles. They'll probably finish. It's going to come down between them and Boston, who's going to finish last. And I don't really know what else to say.
I know the Mancini story. Of course, I mean, for the Orioles, that's what it's all about this year. It's just him being back and hope. Listen, I hope Trey Mancini goes out there and hits 350 and hits 40 bombs, whatever. I hope he has a great season, but. Even if he does that, they don't have enough to count on them being even close to contender. I mean, you look at their lineup compared to the other lineups in the AL East. Even the Red Sox their lineup is significantly better.
Far away better.
Are they still paying Chris Davis?
Yeah, I think they are. As far as I know, which is probably one of the worst that's like a Joakim Noah, Eddie Curry type of situation.
I mean, that's Pedro Severino,
yes,
right? That's
Pedro
Severino. He, I think, had a couple big hits against the Yankees last year. Yeah. Is Galvis from Toronto?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and he was good for Toronto. So those will be a couple guys to look out for, but.
And I do like actually Santander, I think is how you say it.
Santander,
I think he had a couple hits against the Yankees last year. So, they
have a lineup to, they'll score a couple, against worse teams like when they play the Royals and the Tigers, they'll probably beat up on that. They'll probably beat them, but I just can't see them winning more than 60 games this year again.
It's too bad the Orioles just can't play those teams all the time.
Just move that to a different league.
Tony, with the Orioles, I mean, do you see them kind of like the Pirates this year, where it's just not much to be excited about?
Yeah, pretty much, dude. I mean, you hear about like Felix Hernandez coming back, and it's pretty funny. I was looking, and his birthday's in April. He's turning 35, and it kind of the first thing that comes to mind is Johan Santana, because he was 35 and he tried to make his comeback with the Orioles, and we kind of know what happened to him. So, I mean...
Didn't he pitch a no-hitter one time?
He did pitch a no-hitter one time.
And the only one in Mets history.
Like 146 pitches or something?
Yeah, dude, something like that. He's a pretty good guy, pretty cool. But yeah, so there's really not much to even like talk about here. I mean, like you guys said, Santander is good, I guess. But, you talk about who they're going to be playing up against this season mostly. I mean, like the Yankees, Torres is the Oriole killer. So I couldn't imagine they kind of get many wins this season.
And Corey with another comment here about Ottavino. Last year he was talking about striking out Babe Ruth. This year, Ted Williams. I mean, right with you, Corey. I think the Yankees will hit 5, 6, 7 home runs off Ottavino this year. I mean,
I honestly, I don't know if they will. Like, I just think he's so inconsistent in terms of accuracy. That's the biggest problem. And if we're being completely honest, the Yankees, of any team in Major League Baseball, love to swing at pitches out of the zone, especially when they're not feeling it. You get on Judge, you get on Sanchez, you get on Stanton. They love to swing at pitches out of the zone. So that will be, I honestly think that's a problem that they will have to face if Ottavino gets in the game. But the amount of games that Ottavino is going to get in where it means something, the Red Sox against the Yankees are going to be...
They're going to be down like 10
And the thing, I mean, listen, he had some great years, but also he's older. I think, he's 35 now, 36.
Yeah.
And this could be the start of a decline because he just really did not look sharp the whole season last year.
Not at all.
You never know. But
there was never a time where Ottavino came in and I was comfortable.
I think in his first season, I was more comfortable. I think in his second season last year, I did not.
First season, he was down.
But
he was lights out.
Again, and we have to give him, and I guess I'm playing a little devil's advocate here, but we have to give him some. A big thing is the fact that he obviously didn't, like everybody, didn't get much of a spring training, and it was a short season. So maybe he comes back this year, finds himself in this regular spring training, and can do something. But again, the amount of games that he's going to be pitching in that mean something, especially against the Yankees, are going to be minimal.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. And, now that we've previewed every team in the division, what are your guys' thoughts on the division champ?
Rays. No, I'm just kidding. Yankees, obviously.
I think it's going to be, but I think it's going to be the Yankees, but I think it comes down to whether their starting pitching is as good. I mean, listen, if their starting pitching is good and if their starters are okay, you're getting Severino back in the middle of the year. You're going to have a rotation of Garrett Cole, Jameson Tyone, Corey Kluber, Luis Severino, and probably Jordan Montgomery. And that's, I think, if they're on, that is probably up there with the Dodgers as one of the better rotations in baseball.
Yeah. Right. Yep. What do you think, Tony?
I'm gonna say Toronto.
I had a feeling you might say that.
No, I honestly think. I mean,
sure, whatever.
No, they are very similar to the Yankees, honestly. But I do think the Yankees pitching is gonna not be that good. I mean, they signed Kluber, right? But I mean, like the other guy is Taillon. Was it
Taillon? He pitched 6 pitches the other day, 1 inning.
Yeah, dude,
he's the greatest pitcher of all time.
He's Garrett Cole's best friend.
Oh
so
wow, I love it. Yeah, of course, dude. They're gonna be great friends in the hot tub, you know. But
they took pictures together yesterday.
Dude, I mean, these two guys that they're relying on, like they threw for a combined 1 inning last season. So I think there's a lot of toss up for the Yankees pitching, and I think the Blue Jays are gonna make them pay for that.
Yeah, and by no one's surprise, I'm gonna go with the Yankees as well, and I do think too it's just one of those things where if you think about it, I think since 2013 they've only won the division once, because they had some wild cards, missed the playoffs. So it's one of those things. They're a great organization. They're due to get back into and not that you need to win it. Winning the division does nothing. It's about winning the World Series. But especially with the fans coming back, we know what a jungle it is in the Bronx, and I can't wait to be a part of it. So I think the
Downtime hits Yankee Stadium.
Yankees are going to have a big year and take the division.
That's a good point too. I don't even think we know where Blue Jays are playing yet. They have the first 2 games in Florida, right?
Florida,
But they're trying to maybe go back to Canada, if not Buffalo. So
and I don't even know, but with AAA coming back, can they even play in Buffalo? I guess they could rotate schedules. I mean,
I would imagine at that point the Blue Jays take priority.
Yeah, and maybe they share a minor league stadium with someone else.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see. But I can't believe we're done with the baseball preview.
I know.
It's just
I know.
Quick, man.
I know.
I really enjoyed it.
Pumped though, boys.
Oh,
we get a whole season ahead of us now.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And what we're going to be doing, once the season starts, we'll have daily, Monday to Friday, of course, recaps of the Mets and the Yankees games,
naturally.
and obviously scan the rest of the games, around the season. So looking forward to it.
Mets' wins.
All their wins.
It'll be fun, but.
What's up? Do you guys kind of win as getting 1 inning out of your pitcher?
No, I think it's gonna be scoring more runs than the other team.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what winning is.
When did you guys start doing that?
When we feel like it.
But so we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to get Grasso in to talk some NBA.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. She got away. You know what I'm saying? She can't choke. She don't know what to do.
She's gotta go. Bye. I know that you love this flow. We just chillin', we just villains. We just chillin', we some villains.
I love it up. Get the ammo and I stick it up. I grab shots on the top of shots. I bust the clip and I let it dip. I make it poop, make it explode. Touch your toes, hit your nose. Can you touch your toes? Simon telling you what to do. Follow my commando, hit in the bando, trap in the bando, not like a Rambo. Rocky, Sylvester, Solo.
Welcome back, everybody, and now we're ready to talk some NBA. And as always, we're joined by Grasso. What's going on, man?
So
what's up, guys?
What's up, man?
There I am in the corner.
I was just looking at you. Can you see me?
Shout out Taj Gibson. Shout out Taj.
What up, Taji?
Right. There he is.
Tajito.
So, last night in the NBA, we had a couple interesting games, and we'll actually start with one that we previewed yesterday. Ended up going to overtime, but in the end, the Nets 124-113 over the Spurs. And I really have to give it to the Spurs. They hung in there and made a late push just to make it to overtime. And once again, the Nets are led by Harden and Irving, combining for 57. I believe Harden had a triple-double, as well. And then Bruce Brown, who really is a guy that, nobody talks about, 23 points.
Yeah.
If they're getting that type of production out of him, I mean, that's huge considering, he's your fourth option at best once Durant comes back. And then DeAndre Jordan, another 13 boards, actually 5 assists as well as 3 blocks. So, you like to see that. And, they outscore the Spurs 16-5 in overtime. So that was impressive to see. And, the Spurs, they were led by DeRozan again, another double-double, 22 points, 11 assists. And then, Murray and Walker each contributed with 19. So I think it was a good effort by the Spurs and nothing to be discouraged about. You hung in there with one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you basically said it, dude. Like Harden is a beast, dude. He did have a triple-double, 30 points, 14 rebounds, and 15 assists.
0 turnovers.
0 turnovers. He's really doing a great job of distributing the ball, and he definitely looks like a completely different guy, dude, in Brooklyn.
Well, now that his fat suit's off.
Houston, yeah, exactly. That probably helps. Obviously, Kyrie doing his thing too last night with 27, 7 assists. What do you have? Almost 9 boards, so almost a triple-double for Kyrie too.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, the Nets are scary, dude. And they don't even have Durant playing right now.
Yeah.
So that's even more scary to think about. But Spurs side of things, obviously, led by DeRozan, like you said, Barnes with 22, and dude, I mean, they were able to hang in there. Took the Nets to overtime, and
Spurs. That's all you can really ask for them from them
in a game like that. So,
what were your thoughts on
just
this?
Dominant though.
You look at the stats line, and obviously 2 things pop out: points in the paint and free throws. Kids, if you're watching at home, you need to make your free throws. The Spurs were 10 of 15. If they make one of those, they win this game in regulation. So that's obviously a big thing for them. They shot 66% from the free throw line, which is not great. And then, of course, points in the paint. They gave up 56 points in the paint. But in terms of Bruce Brown, yeah, he's producing for you, but I don't know if the shots are there for him once Durant comes back. I don't know. I can't see him dropping 20 a game when Durant comes back just because I don't know if I have the shots or the minutes to do that. But, I mean, listen, they've been, even without Durant, they've been playing really, really well. They're 9-1 over the last 10 games, best record in the NBA in that sense. On the Spurs side, hey, they got contributions from everywhere in this game. Potel, is it? He had 14.
Jakob.
Yeah. I know he went to Utah. I just can't pronounce his name. Trey Lyles had 10. Yeah, DeJounte Murray with 19. Lonnie Walker with 19. Patty Mills with 14. And of course, DeRozan with 22. So getting production from everywhere. Good. I think it was a good performance for them. They couldn't pull it out.
Grasso.
Well, I mean, for the Nets side of things, Harden. They're best when Harden is getting everyone involved, and it's not about getting Kyrie Irving involved. It's about getting the other guys. It's about Bruce Brown. Is that right, Bruce Brown?
Yeah,
Bruce Brown from Miami. Shout out Miami. It's about getting him, open shots, 20 points. Nicholas Claxton at 17 off the bench. I mean, this guy's barely played all year.
Any relation to Speedy?
I doubt it because he's a foot taller than him. So. But it's about getting those guys involved, and because that's what we know. Durant, Harden, and Kyrie, right? Like we know that. It's like, what else do the Nets have outside of Joe Harris? And yeah, it's Harden's job. It's going to be going forward to get those other guys involved. And we know when Durant comes back, we know it's Kevin Durant. You know who I am.
Yeah,
yeah. So I mean,
Kevin
Spurs
Durant.
side of things, there's no moral victories in basketball anymore. I mean, they lost. This is a playoff team. Right. They're fighting for a spot. No, there's no moral victories. Tough loss.
We love when they lose those.
And how is Kyrie Irving going to miss a layup to win the game? A game-winning layup, wide open.
How is he? I think the announcer said it. How is he taking the shot? Why is he taking the shot? Was the shot clock running down? Is that why he took that shot? Because the announcers were like, "I'm surprised he even shot it."
Yeah. He was a wide open layup. I mean, take the 2 points when you got it.
Well, yeah, I think they were just saying, like, I'm surprised he drove the lane to attempt the shot.
Yeah, there wasn't too much left on the clock, on the whole game clock.
But yeah, he's got to make that.
Come on, Kyrie.
Yeah.
And no, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, but I mean, Harden, man, really has been making all the difference for them, dude. He's probably so hyped to be in Brooklyn, dude, out of Houston. Houston is going through like a tough time, man.
They've
had a tough stretch.
Yeah.
They lost 11 in a row.
At least.
Not having is Christian Wood back from injury? I don't think so, right? Not having him was a
he's their best
huge loss for them. Yeah.
And I just have to say too, a couple of years ago, if you asked me if James Harden would be getting teammates involved like this, I would have never believed you. Honestly,
dude.
I thought this guy's a ball hog. He
Yep.
just wants to take 40 shots. He is really good at distributing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, bro. I mean, I don't think we've ever seen this side of him before.
Yeah.
in terms
I mean,
of, like, being
we've
such a
seen it. It's been in
passion.
Houston. It's been here the entire time. Just people don't like to talk about it and like to say he's a ball hog. But James Harden is one of the best players in the NBA, and he has been for years now. So, I mean, it's time for people to start recognizing that.
Well, yeah, I think also in Houston, he had to be the guy who handled the ball all the
Right.
time and had to take the shots and had to be like, if they were going to win games, he was going to have to score 40 points a game, put up, 20 shots or whatever. I think here he's able to do that because he has the pieces around him to
Yes, bro.
be a facilitator, and it's great.
I think he feels more comfortable being a facilitator.
And I kind of look at something similar. It's in Dallas, Geno. It's with Luka. That's why, like, when I see Luka having to dribble the ball pretty much every single play, make everything happen, they don't look good.
Nope.
He doesn't look good. And that's why, like, guys like Jalen Brunson, they get on the floor and they take something off of him. So, like, with Harden now playing with Kyrie and other guys, like, he's just free to be himself, and that's when you get the best James Harden.
Yeah. It's been awesome. Been fun to watch.
And then on to another game from last night. We had a surprise upset as the Pelicans defeat the Jazz 129-124. Shout out JPO. I know you were watching. And what I loved about this game, and I've talked about this before, is the Pelicans just made it an emphasis to attack the paint.
Yeah.
74
like
points
that.
in the paint, and they only shot 11 3-pointers. I mean, we never see that. Every team's shooting 23 pointers, and they made actually 7. So that's efficiency at its finest. And we saw them, they're down early, but they outscored the Jazz 40-24 in the third quarter and never looked back.
Before you go here, Matt, the numbers on this are tremendous because if you look at like you said, if you look at the Pelicans side, 74 points in the paint, which is a crazy number, 53 total rebounds, 10 offensive rebounds. But if you look at the Jazz side, they put up 101 shots. They shot 43 3-pointers. Like, I don't know if those are, I don't look at the stat sheets every day, but I would imagine that's a significant amount of 3-pointers.
The Jazz,
on a
I
regular
think,
day.
shoot more 3-pointers than anyone in the league.
Is crazy.
Oh, yeah.
I think they
got a lot
make
of
more.
guys.
They make like 16 a game.
I mean, they're shooting the ball at 40%, which from the 3-point line is good. So, I mean, it's crazy.
And
but
they hit 17 3-pointers last night.
Yeah.
It didn't even matter.
I mean, for me last night, like Zion was definitely a big story on that game, dude. Him and Gobert kind of going toe to toe in the paint. Just talked about how, as a whole, the Pelicans scored those 70 plus points in the paint. Obviously, Zion contributed a lot to that with 26. Not saying that those were all in the paint, but for the majority, they really were.
Yeah.
And I like how he just took it to Gobert, dude. Gobert a lot lankier, dude. A lot more. Definitely taller. Than
Hey,
Zion,
listen,
but-
he's a defensive player of the year
maybe
kid.
a little.
And Zion held
Couple
his
inches.
own, dude.
And what is he, $150 million man?
Yeah.
A little more, maybe?
For winning
205.
3 defensive player of the year.
$205 million, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
205. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Defense wins championships. That's why the Jazz have been in the finals every year.
Grasso, were you impressed? I mean, we've seen the Jazz beat up on everybody this year and win most of their games. And were you impressed that the Pelicans were able to get this done on the road?
I mean, I wasn't too impressed. I was impressed that Zion just kind of manhandled Rudy Gobert down low. And when Rudy Gobert's not in the they bring Derek Favors in, who's not Rudy Gobert, but he's a damn good defender.
Right.
And Zion was just like bodying these big dudes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, he's something, man. I don't even know.
He
There's no word for him.
His body control in the air is so good.
Oh, my
Yeah.
It's like for a guy of his size, that's ridiculous. Like
getting
we see
bumped
LeBron
twice in
do
the
it.
air.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
and also, Lonzo Ball, man. I mean, we say this time and time again. Every episode, it feels like nowadays, just 23 more points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds, filling the stat sheet.
Yep.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. No, this is like what you want to see from the Pelicans and these young guys.
Yeah.
'Cause they do have a young, exciting team. Ingram too last night. What he 26, 5 assists, 4 boards. So Ingram, perhaps some people, depending on who you ask, an all-star snub maybe, but dude, and you just love to see it, dude. You love to see these young teams like this, compete, and they beat a really good team last night in Utah. Utah's been one of the best teams in the league, if not the best.
On Utah's side of things, I don't think they executed very well down the stretch. The one thing, that over the back call on Gobert was kind of bullshit. I mean, he didn't even touch Zion. He's just like 8 inches bigger, so he got the rebound, and they called it. But like the Mike Conley play, like Mike Conley's a vet, and he did like that pump fake. Let me try and get fouled on a jump shot. Refs never called that in the last couple seconds of a game when it's going to decide it.
Yeah.
He should have known that. Like, he shouldn't have been going for that. Him and Donovan Mitchell both didn't play very well last night. I think that's a huge.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell didn't play well last night.
7 out of 21.
And I think Mike Conley is the guy that kind of goes unheralded over there in Utah. No one's really talking about him.
Right.
He came over a couple years ago, but he was hurt.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be the guy that kind of brought them to the next level. He's having a really good year, but last night just kind of struggled.
Still facilitated, though. Had eight assists. Jordan Clarkson, of course, a guy who's probably leading six man of the year conversation right now.
Away with it,
running away with it. He had 20 points. Bogdanovich had 31. So, I mean, they were getting production from elsewhere.
Did you see Bogdanovich was 7 for 11 from 3 as well?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, so he had the same three-point numbers
team.
as the whole Pelican team. Both guys shooting really well.
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to know about you guys. The Pelicans obviously are kind of in the same situation as the Knicks in a sense where they have a good young foundation. There was talks about moving Lonzo on. Are you still trading Lonzo at this point?
No, I was never trading Lonzo.
No.
To me, Zion, Ingram, Lonzo, and Jackson Hayes.
Yeah, Jackson Hayes is really good.
Who's young, and it takes those young,
Texas
skinny,
boys.
big guys
Those
a while.
Texas centers, man.
Yeah.
They produce Texas centers
they
over
really
there.
do.
So
Yeah, but those are the 4 guys. I'd like to keep Josh Hart as like a role player going forward. But I'm not trading any of those guys. Everyone else can go.
I love
Yeah.
Josh Hart, dude.
Yeah.
Nova guy.
Nova guy.
yeah, and listen, they don't make playoffs this year, and they get another high draft pick. They got this another guy that they can add. Maybe sign a couple guys in free agency, and all of a sudden this team is a middle of the pack. I mean, listen, the Western Conference is so stacked that it's just not. It's not easy to move up. It's
Right, exactly.
and
Yeah,
I hate to say this
Despite
about the
the
East,
talent
but
that you have, man, because they do have talent on that team, but it's just like you said, the West is just
There are
not bad,
13
man.
good teams in the West.
Yeah.
The only bad teams are the Thunder and the Rockets, and maybe the Kings.
Definitely the Kings.
but the Kings can score. They
The
just
Kings
can't play
can score.
defense.
Yeah, they can beat you. So you got 12 good teams.
Listen, the Thunder aren't great, but they have a couple good players there that are kind of getting them some wins.
Not knocking on them, but they're in that stage.
But they're in those. They're not on the
rebuild
same
years.
tier as the other 12
Yeah.
teams. Yeah, for sure.
And looking at it, I mean, Golden State's in 8th right now. I honestly think that the Pelicans are a better team than Golden State. I mean, Curry's amazing. Wiseman is good. But I just think the Pelicans are so much deeper. And I think
Than the Warriors?
Yeah.
I would agree with that. I would definitely think they have more depth, and I think they have a deeper team.
So, I wouldn't be surprised.
They just have more. I think the one thing is that, sorry to cut you off there, Barnes, but I think the one thing is for the Warriors, they have guys on their team who can score, but they consistently don't seem to be putting up the numbers they should be. Whereas the Pelicans, they have 3 guys on their team that are consistently scoring points. You have Lonzo, you have, Brandon Ingram, you have Zion, and then of course you have off the bench or whatever, Josh Hart. JJ Redick can put up points. So I think, like you said, they're deeper, and their pieces that are supposed to be playing well are playing well consistently right now.
I think that's more. I think the guys on the Pelicans are playing well.
Yeah.
And I think the guys on the Warriors, you talk about Kelly Oubre and Andrew Wiggins. I mean, Wiggins is what he is, but Oubre was a guy that put up big numbers on a terrible team.
Yeah.
So it's like that kind of, it makes you question, are those numbers
Absolutely,
real?
Yeah.
Right.
And I never thought they were with Oubre. I mean, he put up some nice dunks and I don't know.
But he can't be
Oubre
counted
is
on
like-
as a
yeah,
big,
No,
he's
no,
a
yeah.
bench guy
Exactly,
that's
yeah.
going to be
Yeah.
great off the bench.
He's like your
Yeah.
6-man.
He's
guy,
like one of
yeah.
those guys that cares more about his like pregame outfit than the actual game. So.
His
Yeah.
hair's got the flow.
But no, he's not. I don't think he's that good of a player. Like,
Yeah.
guys on the Pelicans
Yeah.
are better.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
And then, just looking at another game last night, Geno, the Mavs get it done again in Orlando.
They do.
And,
You're a Mavs
obviously-
I am.
Oh,
I am. I know you didn't know that.
Yeah,
You
I
haven't been
went
here
to
watching.
the party.
news to me, dude.
Obviously the Magic, they're not a great team, but a win is a win.
Listen.
You'll take it when you could get it. And even they win, even though Vucevic or, however
Yeah,
you say it,
Yeah. Who? Yeah.
The guy with
29,
the V.
15, and 8 assists, and they still come away with it. And Luka almost has a triple-double.
Yeah. I mean, Fournier scored 26 as well. They had some troubles there, but they fought through. Listen, getting contributions from all over the place. Josh Richardson had 11 last night. KP had 17. Kleba had 13. Defensively, not their best game, but if they're winning games like this, even against bad teams, I'll take it because the score showed, I think, it looks a little bit closer than it actually was.
Right.
Trey Burke adding 11 either, but again, we've mentioned him. Jalen Brunson really is the key that unlocks everything for this team. I think Luka's good. He's going to get 30 points, probably 25 to 30 points a night. But Jalen Brunson is what unlocks this offense and then lets them do what they, he is slowly stepped into the JJ Barea role. And I love watching him play. He has been phenomenal. I mean, just everything about this win. They're doing things right. 8-2 in their last 10. Again, and they said, listen, it was. I saw something on Twitter. The Mavs are 8-2. The Heat are 7-3. They both were dealing with the same problems at the same time. They're both starting to hit their stride at the same time. It's amazing what happens when you're not dealing with players having to be on the COVID list and not having a bench that's 8 players long. So everybody seems to start getting. It seems like it's working up now. They play that Thunder team we were just talking about tomorrow night before the All-Star break. And then when they come out of the All-Star break, they have a very tough schedule, the first 6 or 7 games. But I think this Mavs team is going to go on a little run here. I think they're going to work their way up the standings. And like we said the other day, they're not a top 3 team, but they're going to get into the playoffs. And I think they might, maybe they'll upset one team. Maybe they'll get into the second round.
Yeah, I agree with you on all that, Geno. Talking on the Mavs, you can tell when you have all your guys are contributing, it's because they've all been playing. Like, they're playing together. That no one's out. Maybe they even practiced once.
Yeah,
who knows?
Well, KP and Luka hadn't practiced together as much as they did over that week break that they had in the entire season. So, I mean, you're right. I mean, practice.
So, the team is starting to come together. And you mentioned the Heat, too. The Mavericks, I can see them climbing right into the middle of the pack in the playoffs in the West and possibly upsetting a team. But, they're starting to roll. I wouldn't want to play them.
Yeah, and I said this yesterday. I mean, I think they're going to win that division. I know the Spurs are ahead, but they gain another game, because with that. So I see them, doing pretty well to finish out the year. And then, looking at tonight, we got a bunch of good games, and we'll start with one of the hottest teams in the NBA, the New York Knicks.
We are the New York
crazy.
Knicks.
That's
18-17 at this point in the year. Last year, I'm sure they were 10, 15 games under 500 at this point. So really got to give it to them. They have a 3-game winning streak now. They currently sit 4th in the East. And I think this is a big road test for them. I mean, I know the Spurs are coming off a back-to-back, but, Popovich is always ready. Looking at this matchup, what do you guys see?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to this game. This is actually a solid game between 2 solid teams. Obviously, Spurs right now are the 5th seed in the West. Yep. We just discussed that they lost a tough game to Brooklyn last night, but Brooklyn being the team that they are, you got to take, it is what it is. But dude, Knicks, man, Knicks are always they're my second favorite team just from being here in the area, bro. New York. Yeah, New York. Yeah, exactly. So I'm pumped for the Knicks, dude. In their last 10 games, they're 7-3, dude, and they finally have an all-star, dude, and Julius Randle. And they're looking really good, dude. The Knicks, they teeter back and forth with the Lakers between the first and second best defensive team in the league, depending on what day it is, I guess you could say. But dude, it's just really exciting for the Knicks. I'm happy for the city. I'm happy for their fans. Obviously, we all know a lot of Knicks fans.
Yeah.
Being right here in the area. So
suffered through a lot.
Yeah, they have. But dude, and you just love the young talent that the Knicks have, dude. I love. I'm a big Quickly guy. Mm-hmm. Obviously, producer Mike had to step out for a second, otherwise he'd be all over this. But, But dude, Quickly, and just they have all young guys, dude. They're like are they the youngest or the second youngest team?
I think they're the average. Third, right?
I know they're right. I think they are the third.
They're right there.
Yeah.
Well, shout out to our boy Taj Gibson, but if you take him off the roster, that average might go down a little bit.
Yeah, that's true.
Taj is pushing 36, 37.
Yeah. So that ups it quite a bit.
No, yeah.
But yeah, I hope the Knicks are able to pull out this win. This would be a big win for them.
Still love you, Taj.
4th in a row. Yeah, love you, Taj. Even though you're old. But no, they're going for 4 in a row, dude, and they're playing a decent Western Conference team, dude, the Spurs. So I'm pulling for the Knicks tonight, dude.
Yeah, I mean, also going back to talking about teams that are bad in the West, we completely forgot about the Minnesota Timberwolves, which should say everything you need to know about the Minnesota Timberwolves. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, the Spurs, obviously, like you said, coming off a tough loss last night. They had to go into OT as well, so maybe some more tired legs, maybe a little extra tired legs. The Knicks, they've been phenomenal, and they're going to keep. Listen, I think
the Knicks have been phenomenal, dude. I never thought I'd hear those words.
Yeah, right. It's been a while, but listen, this is going to be an important game for them because listen. There's a game and a half or 2 games that separate being out of the playoffs and in the 4 seed in the East. So this is a big game for them just to continue to keep moving in the right direction before the All-Star break. They have the Pistons on Thursday. So if they win this game, there's a very good chance that they go into the All-Star break win 5 in a row, being 20-17, right up there with some of the better teams in the East. But the Spurs are going to be a tough challenge, and they're going to bring it. Popovich always has the guys ready, so we'll see what happens.
What do you think, Grasso, with this?
Basketball is better when the Knicks are
No doubt, dude.
This is the most exciting basketball has been in New York since insanity.
Yeah,
literally, yeah.
Yeah.
And hold on before you continue, Tony. I can't hear Grasso. Can you hear Grasso?
What are you doing, dude?
I have a mic.
Come on.
What are you doing?
I want people to hear him.
Really? I'm
Oh, there we go.
We're
back. Okay, we're back.
I'm back. Maybe I was just
Oh, wait,
maybe I was just talking kind of funny.
No, you're
Where'd
good.
you
Talk a
lose
little
me?
funny sometimes.
I just want to make sure we hear your important points. Tony, on the other hand, we don't care as
We don't-
much
yeah, we
about.
don't Poor guy over here, Tony. I care what you say, Tony. I care. Basketball is better when the Knicks are better. And like I said, this is like the most exciting basketball has been in New York since Linsanity. So they bring it every night. I mean, they're tough. Tibbs has got them working. And this team doesn't back down for anything. They're not scared of anyone. I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pulling for the Knicks. And like you said, the Eastern Conference, like 4, even maybe 3 through 10.
Yeah.
It's going to be separated by just a few games. So every game counts.
Yep.
I think the Knicks get in there even at home court. I mean, how crazy would that be? I don't think they're going to do that.
But that would be a story.
That would be
Hey,
a crazy
home
story.
court. Who knows what the capacity looks like that time of year?
We might be in the
rocking.
building.
You know what? That it's too bad, dude, that we still are in this because if fans were allowed in the Garden, dude,
Oh,
fucking
my
I have a
God.
question for. Actually, Mike's not here. He's the only Knicks fan here. I was going to ask what you would pay to be in the Garden if the Knicks made the playoffs, but he's not here, so I
Just
can't
want
ask him that.
Yeah, he
Put it in
would
his
just
house.
put it all on the line.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know.
We'll answer for him.
I'll pay a lot.
And just a key thing with this matchup, I think, it favors the Knicks just because Spurs, second night of a back-to-back, Keldon Johnson, the outstanding rookie, he's questionable. And even if he does play, coming off, some rest with the protocols, I think he's going to be a little choppy. And actually, the Spurs are 8-9 at home this year, so it's not like they've lit it up at home. And I just think that Knicks defense, once again, leads the way. 104 points per game allowed. I mean, you never see that in the NBA anymore. So my pick here is to go with the Knicks, go with the hot hand. And one other point on the Knicks, I've been very impressed with Alec Burks, a guy that nobody even thinks about. He's shooting over 40% from 3. Great, second unit guy. So I really like how deep this Knicks team is.
I think also, we often talk about the big 3 and how you need that extra piece. You need the extra guy. But I think the Knicks are a good example of it, and some other teams are too. These role players are so important. We talk about the big 3, but in many situations, unless you're LeBron James, a lot of that doesn't get these guys don't get where they are without the extra role players. The James Hardens, the James Harden, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant trio is made better by Joe Harris shooting knockdown threes and being a knockdown three shooter, and Bruce Bowen playing well, and DeAndre Jordan being better inside. That's what makes a championship team, are these role players, especially in today's NBA when everybody has 3 superstars, where a lot of teams do. I think a lot needs to be said about specifically the role players on the Knicks.
And what's your pick for the game?
I think the Knicks can get it done. I don't know. It's hard not to pick the Knicks these days, again, because the Spurs played in OT last night. Right. That's a big thing. That's a big factor. The Knicks, the big part about the Knicks, they play really good defense. Yeah. Yep. And they're not going to give up double digits to 6 guys like the Nets did last night. So that's going to be something to watch out for. I think the Knicks pull it out.
What do you got, Grasso?
I'm never picking against the Knicks for the rest of the year. I just like watching them play. But
we can't pick against the Knicks, otherwise Mike won't let us in the studio.
If locked out. But like you mentioned, Alec Burke playing good role player. To me, he's a guy you put on the trading block. See what you get for him, because I want to see Kevin Knox back in the rotation. And so guys like Alec Burke who've been around.
The Nets could probably use him, actually.
Knox.
Yeah.
No, not Knox, but Burks.
Yeah, putting him up.
Knockdown shooter.
Maybe you get some draft picks back.
Yeah.
But he played well in Philly last year for the time he was there. I think he was in Golden State before that.
Right.
But I want to see Kevin Knox get back in the rotation, man. That's like the one thing that's missing from the Knicks. I think he's part of the future going forward. I think he's still only like 20, 21 years old.
Yeah.
And I think one of the other things that doesn't get talked about with the Knicks is that Obi's getting like 3 minutes a game. He's not playing that much.
And he just got named to the slam dunk contest.
Yeah, which will be fantastic because he is a terrific dunker. But I think that we haven't even touched the iceberg with him to the tip of the iceberg. We haven't even gone past the tip of the iceberg with him. So it's couldn't figure out the saying.
Tony over here.
But yeah, I think that's another big thing for the Knicks is the fact that we haven't seen a lot from him either. So we'll
we don't know really how healthy he is. He came off those injuries. And with Julius Randle ahead of him playing
well, that's the thing, and which is okay. I mean,
yes.
hey, if you're a Knicks fan, you want him to develop. You want him to slowly. You don't want to put all the pressure on him right away, especially being a guy from New York, being a guy from the area. That's pressure enough already to perform, especially once fans get back in the stadium or in the arenas. I think, being able to slowly work him back in is a good thing for him.
Yeah, and I think Obi should be taking notes from Julius Randle every day.
Yeah.
There's such similar
Well, he does. I
athletes
mean, he's been, according to reports, he's been sitting next to the coach from Kentucky. I can't think of his name. But the guy who came over from Kentucky who's been helping out these forwards, he's been sitting there every game, sits right next to him, asks him questions throughout the game. So it's, he's learning. And that's, I think, a very big thing for the Knicks. Because once he is able to contribute big minutes, I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, and Toppin's a mature guy and a New Yorker. So the Knicks
from Brooklyn,
fans,
right? I think Toppin. I'm pretty sure he's from Brooklyn.
He's from New York City. I'm not sure.
He's from, I think, Brooklyn, but he played his high school ball up in Westchester, in Ossining. So that's where he played his high school ball. So close. I have some close connection with him over there in terms of
guys. We have Mike. Mike is in the chat right now. Mike can never leave. Whole court. DTV is there. I'm here. He said we don't have to pay. We're just getting in for free. Knicks by 15.
Maybe 20.
Knox is part of the DTV fam. I agree.
You know what's going to be epic, boys? Speaking of that, when downtime, when we have courtside seats, dude, and like at halftime, they're putting us on the camera, bro, on the fucking Jumbotron, dude. DTV in the house. Epic.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and that'll be about the time where the Knicks have won their third straight NBA championship. So it's it's great.
Next year, dude.
We'll go out with RJ Barrett after the game.
The second straight NBA championship.
This is the first one, you know? Come on.
I know where you're going here, but your pick for the game?
Yeah, Knicks.
Okay. Yeah. So clean sweep there. And then, on to another game I think is really going to be important tonight. The Bucks coming in, hot on that 5-game winning streak. They're hosting the Denver Nuggets, who we previewed their game yesterday. They end up beating the Bulls, not by too much, but like we always say, a win's a win, and they've needed them because they've been a little inconsistent. So as far as this game, the Bucks, they won the last meeting, 125-112. And I think the most important part of this game is going to be the paint matchup. I mean, Jokic versus Giannis, what's better than that?
I know.
Yeah, it's good. Those two guys are going to bang around in the paint. And I think, Milwaukee, it's tough to pick against Milwaukee right now just because of the win streak that they're on. And they've been playing so much better, dude. They were looking like shit like last week or even a week and a half ago. But really have stepped it up, dude. Rattled off 5 in a row. But yeah, to your point, dude, the matchup in the paint between Jokic and Giannis is probably going to be like the highlight of this game, dude. Look for both, honestly, to perform really well. I think both end up like with games around 25, 15 boards, something like that. But I'm gonna roll with Milwaukee, dude, just because they're hot.
Screw them. I hate Milwaukee. I'm not picking Milwaukee. I'm going to pick the Nuggets. I love Jamal Murray.
Red hot.
I love Jokic. I think that they have the pieces there that make them a solid team. We saw a couple weeks ago, Murray didn't play too well. I think it was against Portland. Didn't play too well. Picked up a little shoulder injury in the middle of the game, but managed to facilitate, find ways to get people involved, and then really picked it up in the fourth quarter. He's a lot of fun to watch. Jokic is so much fun to watch, and just the way he plays basketball is so different than anything you see in the NBA nowadays, I feel like. So it's just a lot of fun, or at least from a big man of his size and his stature. So I like the Nuggets. And I think, him, Michael Porter Jr., those guys, I think that they're enough to get it done against Giannis.
Giannis is just a
what do you
regular
think,
season
Grasso?
MVP, though, according to one.
He's not wrong. Giannis is a regular season MVP, but this is the regular season we're talking about.
that is very
Look, I
true.
mean, I love everything about Denver and what they got going forward. I think they're the third best team in the West besides the two LA teams, but I think Milwaukee's going to win tonight. I think they're going to come out fast. I think they're going to come out. We talked yesterday about how this little winning streak they're on is against pretty bad teams.
Mm-hmm.
The Nuggets are a contender, and Giannis knows that. I think he's going to come out. Pronounce it, Renee. Now I lost track of what I was saying.
The Nuggets are contender. Giannis sucks. Giannis is not going to do anything in the playoffs. Giannis is the worst. Yeah,
we always make so much fun of Giannis. Poor guy. No, I mean, he knows that they're going up against the Nuggets team, and he hears what everyone's saying in the media about him only being a regular season guy. I see him coming out and having a huge night, maybe close to 50 points on Jokic. So I like to see Drew Holiday get some more minutes if he plays tonight, coming back. He was out for a while off of COVID stuff.
And
it was off of COVID related stuff. So I don't know if he actually had COVID or what the deal is. He only played, I think, 18 minutes his first game back.
Yeah.
So that's something to keep an eye on.
I think he did have it because I think he was saying how the effects from the virus, like where he still felt them, like in his legs and his lungs, kind of too, with like breathing. Doris Burke was saying it the other night.
Doris.
Hey, Doris, how are you?
Doris.
But yeah, dude. So Matt can beat Giannis in a 3-point contest. I probably could, dude. Thank you, Downtime Productions.
I would imagine there's probably a lot of people who can beat Giannis in a 3-point contest.
Yeah. No, I'd agree with that. And we've said it before, but Giannis is just better off just completely eliminating the 3-point shot. And we saw him attack the paint last game. He still attempted 7 3-pointers though, and I don't know. He made 2 of them, which obviously isn't a good percentage. But every time I see him shoot a 3, I feel like it's a wasted shot. It's just for some guy who attacks the paint like that.
A lot of them are kind of just like end of shot clock, like pull back. We kind of failed this. Let me chuck one up, and maybe Brook Lopez will grab an offensive board or something like that.
Well, this is the thing, though, with him, though. When we said this before, like, listen, LeBron James is not the best 3-point shooter in the world either. Giannis doesn't have to be the best 3-point shooter in the world, but the LeBron James makes the jumpers, makes the shots outside the paint.
20-footers,
and Giannis has to start doing that.
20.
He has to start doing that more consistently to be considered. And, I mean, obviously he does it now. Obviously, in the regular season, he seems to get more access to the paint, dominate more games. But in again, we say in the postseason, when things get to the postseason, I said this to Mike earlier, I don't care what Giannis, at this point in his career, I do not care what Giannis does in the regular season. Mm-hmm. Let's talk when he gets to the postseason. I want him to be, because I mean, that would be great for the NBA to see him go off, and but he's got to do it in the postseason for me to make any difference in my mind. He could go out there and drop 50 tonight, and it's not going to change my mind.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I said this on another episode, I think he's going to do a lot better than everyone expects in the postseason, because you look at every great player. Of course, everybody had struggles before they broke through. So you can't just say, because this many years he hasn't done anything. It can happen at any time. He's too talented. Yeah. That being said, just tonight, just the way, the matchup is and the way things goes, they've won 5 straight. And I just feel like I like this Nuggets team. I just feel like they're so deep, not just the starters. I love Monte Morris off the bench, Will Barton, so I just think they're really deep. And I think they're an offensive powerhouse. I think it's going to be close, but, in the end, I think the Nuggets got it. But, I mean, it's definitely going to be a fun game to watch for sure. And I'm really looking forward to it.
Some news from Mike. LeBron was a way better shooter than him always. I don't know if he'll ever get a jumper, honestly. No, yeah, I mean, listen, I understand that, but let's admit that we're not going to go out here and say that LeBron was knocking down threes every game. I know when he was on the Heat, we were getting on his case for not knocking down threes. So,
But another note on Giannis, he turned 26 like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
He's still
Young boy.
still really young.
Yep.
Yeah, so there's a lot to be said for Giannis. And then, another game tonight, which is a really good matchup, and I just didn't want to go too in-depth with it just because we've talked about both of these teams a lot, so, trying to get some variety in here. But we do have the Suns-Lakers tonight, and I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yep.
And I would have loved to see if AD was playing in this matchup. It really changes the whole thing. So I think this is going to be a really tough test for the Lakers. And I look to DeAndre Ayton down low. I mean, who's really going to step up for the Lakers and stop him? And then you have to worry about Paul shooting mid-range jumpers, 3-pointers, and Devin Booker.
Yeah, I mean, Devin Booker's coming off that 43-point game the other night into this game. He's been an absolute stud, dude. Obviously, the Suns as a unit with Chris Paul and Ayton down in the paint, obviously, we just said Booker. Dude, they're playing really well, dude. They got great shooters on that team. Obviously, Ayton can do his thing in the paint. And on the Lakers side of things, dude, definitely gonna miss Anthony Davis. Obviously, downloaded to take care of Ayton. On the Lakers, still sticking with the Lakers. I don't know. I'm trying to just think right now who could body, like what body are you gonna put on Ayton?
Marcus Gasol. He's looked really good.
Great,
this year.
dude. Oh, he's Jesus. But
they could use a guy like JaVale McGee.
Yeah.
If the Lakers brought back McGee, I'd be pretty pumped. What in Anthony Davis's absence?
Oh man,
I would honestly love it. But dude, obviously I'm gonna go with the Lakers tonight. We have LeBron. Suns 8-2 in the last 10 games. Lakers just 5-5, but still I'm gonna roll with LA. They're gonna cool the Suns off tonight.
And obviously LA with LeBron can it's any given night they can go out there and win a game. With Schroeder, obviously they looked a little bit better, which has been a key.
That helps a lot.
I will never ever pick against Chris Paul, so probably we'll pick the Suns tonight. But
Harrell, obviously.
Oh yeah,
I want to see Harrell
Trez,
and Ayton down there.
Yeah, but I think
Ayton's gonna step on that little boy.
Yeah, I think
Probably
Trez is probably a little bit better coming off the bench.
I'd rather have Harrell try and stop him than Marcus Gasol.
Yeah. Well, that's true, and Harrell is, as we know, a good trash talker, maybe getting Ayton's head or something like that. So, but I mean, I think it'll definitely be a great, fun matchup. I think both these teams are a fun watch. But you're like you said, the Suns are starting to heat up now. The Suns are starting to find a little stride here, which is good for them. This is an important game for them to kind of solidify themselves in kind of a conversation for best teams in the West.
What do you see, Grasso?
I don't think we need to worry about that DeAndre Ayton matchup because I think Book's going to come out, channel his inner Kobe Bryant, his Mamba mentality, and just go completely crazy this game. I mean, it's in LA. I don't know. I think Booker's going to go off. I just got one of those feelings, Yeah. You ever had one of those feelings?
Yeah, of course.
Going with my gut.
Gut reaction,
Can't beat it.
Yeah, and honestly, it's tough for me because I usually, of course, I'm always going to side with LeBron, but I just don't like this matchup for them. I've just talked about how deep the Suns are, and I think they're a lot deeper than the Lakers. And I think if AD was playing, I would lean Lakers, but without that, I think those three guys are going to be too much with that deep bench. So I'm actually going to go with the Suns here.
Are we 3-1 versus the Lakers tonight?
Yeah.
And I think Mike even said Suns too. He said Phoenix by 15.
Yeah.
4-1. Wow.
I don't think it would be 15, but
we're some Suns fans here, huh?
I love the Suns.
I love them too.
Love the Suns.
It's so much fun to watch.
Yeah, love the Suns. Yeah. Love them. They just have players on their team that, like you said, are fun to watch. And I mean, they've always kind of had I don't know. I've always kind of liked the Suns, like their jerseys. I like the purple, the purple and the orange. Their city jerseys this year, the Valley jerseys.
Valleys.
Really awesome.
Those are nice.
But again, as you know, I am a big Chris Paul fan, so I have a tough time picking against
Mavericks and Chris Paul.
But there's gonna be a lot of fun games to watch tonight. So I'm
Mavericks
really,
Suns
looking
first
forward
round
to it.
playoff matchup. 4 or 5.
I mean, I have to at that point. I have to go to the Mavericks.
Well, I know you'd have to, but that would be a good matchup.
That would be tough.
Imagine the Suns drafted Luka instead of Ayton.
Yeah, well, I mean, it would be worse if they were like the Hawks and they draft. I guess. I mean, listen, Trey is very good, but
just not
trash.
He doesn't have he facilitates well. He just I don't know. He doesn't make. For some reason, he doesn't make everybody better like Luka does, and that's I think the difference between the two players. But listen, probably Suns, Mavericks playoff matchup. They beat the Suns, and then they probably go beat the Lakers and march to the NBA Finals this year.
And
I don't want to say
just make doo-doo of them.
I said NBA Finals preview the other night, right?
Yeah.
No, but yeah, it's the Suns are fun. The Suns are definitely a fun watch.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be a close game, either way tonight. So really looking forward to it, and I'm sure we'll recap it tomorrow. But that'll do it.
Who knows? Kuzma might go off.
Yeah,
No, it's a cool entertainment.
you never know. But that'll do it for the NBA. Now, Geno, what do you have on soccer?
Oh, we got a lot on soccer. Obviously, we told you all the games to watch. That they ended up actually being, for the most part, pretty good. We'll start in the Serie A, which is the Italian league. And in the Italian league, Juventus, who has traditionally been the best team in the league, they've won 9 straight Scudettas, which is the Serie A trophy. They dropped points to Verona. They fall 10 points back of Inter in the race for the title. They've been under new management this year with Andrea Pirlo, but they can't seem to get things going. They've got Spezia today. They played, and then Lazio on Saturday. There's like a 3 or 4 point difference between the 4th and the 7th, and dropping out of a playoff spot there, a European spot there. So something to watch for with Juventus. Milan, AC Milan, on the other hand, stay in the title race with a 2-1 win over Roma. They stay 4 back of Inter. They played really well. Got a penalty in the 43rd, I think it was, and then scored in the 58th to win the game. Over in the Premier League, you got to start with Man City. Man City's been phenomenal. They have 21 wins in a row now after their win over Wolves today, 4-1. They scored 3 goals after the 80th minute in this one. So if they were actually to win 2 more games, they would break the record for wins in a row. So something to watch out for in the Premier League there. There was a crazy event in the West Bromwich Brighton match. The referee had blown his whistle to start a free kick, and then they scored. And then they took the goal back. So West Brom actually won that match 1-0. Yes, and Brighton is in a battle to be dropped to the lower league. So that would be a very big issue.
That would be a shame.
I know, Matt, you're a big Brighton fan.
That's my guy.
Arsenal, on the other hand, they pick up 3 points over Leicester. They now 6 points back of a European spot with 1 more game played than everybody else. They're still in the Europa League, so they can get in the Champions League. It's complicated. I understand you guys. This is gibberish to some of you guys.
Oh, I'm following.
And maybe we'll do a little explanation on some of the terms I'm using here later on. And then of course Everton winning an ugly win over Southampton. Great game, I thought, defensively from Everton's perspective. They get the goal early in the 9th minute by Richarlison and kind of hold on there. Jordan Pickford also played really, really well in this game. Just another good performance from them. Over to the Spanish league and La Liga, we talked about Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Atletico. Barcelona and Atletico both win. Real Madrid does drop points though, so they fall back actually behind Barcelona to 3rd place. And that's in before this intriguing matchup between Atletico and Real Madrid in the Madrid derby this weekend. Over in the Bundesliga, I think the best match of the weekend was in the Bundesliga in Germany. Borussia Mönchengladbach fall again. They were winning by 2 goals and they lost 3-2. They were up. They had a chance to go up 3-0 early in this game. Things turned around after the half. American Tyler Adams played really, really well in this game. In the central midfield for them. So that's a good sign for the Americans. But they scored in stoppage time to win this one, and Gladbach's kind of fall continues today with a loss to Dortmund in the German League Cup quarterfinals. Meanwhile, Leipzig, they have Wolfsburg today in the quarters. I think they're playing right now. And then finally in the French league, in Ligue 1, first place Lille dropped points at home to 15th place Strasbourg. They now sit 2 points above PSG, who won easily on the weekend. It's a pretty close title race there as well. I think 4 points separate the first place team and the 4th place team there in the title race. Lille have Marseille and Monaco next, which are 2 very tough games for them. Meanwhile, PSG has some really easy games. So probably a good time for PSG, who are perennial winners in that league, to step up and kind of take over first place and run away with it.
Paris Saint-Germain.
Yes, correct. Yes, Paris Saint-Germain.
Yes.
There you go. He knows soccer.
I
He knows
do.
Soccer.
I know everything that's going on right now.
He's just nodding his head. He's like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then finally, we got to bring in some women's soccer as well. The U.S. women's national team won the She Believes Cup this weekend. Basically, one of the more elite tournaments for U.S. women's soccer.
Barnes.
No, it's all good.
You gotta love a live game, dude.
But they beat Argentina, Canada, and Brazil in this one. One thing, though, from this matchup or from this tournament, the U.S. women's national team is typically very dominant in national soccer, international soccer. Didn't look as dominant in this one. Probably a sign of other countries starting to build up their women's side and kind of make a charge at the U.S. who have been very dominant over the past few years. So that wraps up soccer for today. We'll come back on Friday with some previews of what to expect on the weekend.
Yeah,
Dope.
And then, just some other headlines, before we close out here. Britt Reed, the son of Andy Reid, the girl that was injured in that car accident, 5 years old, I guess has permanent brain damage. And the lawyers want to go for the harshest charges, which, I mean, you can't blame them, of course. And the thing that, just about this story that besides, of course, that it's so sad, that just stands out to me is the fact they said they're waiting on toxicology reports.
Which I would imagine is just trying to figure out how intoxicated he was and if he had any other things in his system, right?
Okay, yeah.
I would imagine. That's probably what's going on there, but I would imagine that makes their case stronger too.
Right.
So I would imagine that's why they're waiting on those toxicology reports. But it just sucks, man. Tough situation for really everyone involved. But
just gotta hope for the best.
I mean, having just kind of gone through something like this, not obviously to this extent, but that is very unfortunate, and it's very draining, I would imagine, for everybody involved. So
yeah, for sure.
you just
prayers to everybody, and like I said, hope for the best. And then something else, 59-year anniversary today of Wilt dropping 100 points. And I think he's just someone who, we talk about the Mount Rushmore. I feel like he just doesn't get enough credit. I mean, really, he probably should be considered the best basketball player ever. You just look at what he did in his era. I know, different competition, different teams.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's remarkable what he did.
it's just impressive too, because there was no 3-point line
at
that time. So he literally was just putting them in sync.
Yeah, I mean, he was well ahead of his time in basketball.
Yeah.
I mean, 100 points, nobody's ever done it. I mean,
and nobody probably will.
I think
81, Booker 70.
Yeah, I think he was just so early that it's hard to put him in when you look at some of the other players and how they've dominated their certain eras. I think that's why I don't know. I'm not sure I would put him on my Mount Rushmore.
It's kind of stupid. Yeah,
there's not four guys that are
it can't just be four. You know what I mean? It's like.
But if you had to pick four, who would they be?
Can't do it.
We could go a whole show on that.
Yeah.
I think we talked a little bit about it on Friday.
I mean, listen, I think at least, I mean, just to kind of, and I think Russ.
No Mount Rushmore.
No Mount Rushmore on the show.
All
right. But Bill Russell, LeBron, Michael Jordan.
But we'll have a special on that down the road.
Yeah.
LeBron, Kareem.
There you go. There's your final list. That's it.
That's the Rushmore.
But
Magic, Larry,
and then, other than that, it's just something we haven't really touched on much, which we're going to get into with, March Madness around the corner. We have number 3 Baylor right now up 35-31 at the half on the road against number 6 West Virginia.
Really important game. Very important game for seeding wise, because Baylor lost their first game of the season last week. Obviously, they've been coming off these long pauses with COVID and the ice storms, which, again, prayers up for everybody in Texas right now, who are thankfully starting to get out of this situation. But really important game for that 1 seed line, which will be very, very interesting. West Virginia's looked good. Big 12 in general has looked good. I was just looking at the rankings. They have a team. They control basically every spot from 13 to 18 in the rankings, except for number 14 in the country. So that's, I don't know, in my brain, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then also later on, Wisconsin and Purdue. So that's
we have Illinois and Michigan, which is again a very big game for that 1 seed line. These 2 games today are going to be a very big determiner of who is in that 1 seed line. Also, I mean, listen, you got Michigan, Illinois, Ohio State, all vying for 1 seed line, and they all have to play each other in the conference tournament. So that we'll definitely, like you said, talk about that. Talk about that a little bit. I don't know if you have this as well, but some conference tournaments that have already started. If we're looking at some mid-majors, the Big South started last week. They have already reached their semifinals. Actually, Winthrop being the big name there. They're 17-1. They won by 30 yesterday. My upset pick in that league lost by 6 points, unfortunately.
Close though.
Yeah, Gardner Webb. I thought had a chance to kind of be an upset. Gardner. The Horizon League starts tonight. The two names to look out for there: Wright State and Cleveland State. But again, the upset pick for me would be Detroit Mercy. I think that they have a really good offense, defensively pretty good as well, and they shoot the three well, I'm pretty sure. So definitely something to watch out for there. And then a couple leagues starting the conference tournaments tomorrow. The Patriot League, the Ohio Valley, and the A10. The Patriot League is basically Navy and Colgate. Those are the two best teams by far. Ohio Valley is basically all Belmont, although they've been on a little bit of a skid. Morehead State is the number 2 seed there. They just lost to Morehead State. So, but Belmont they were like, I think 20 something and won before losing. And then the A10 is, I think, out of all these, the biggest potential for upsets. They've got a bunch of teams in there who can win the tournament. So.
Yeah, and really looking forward to watching March Madness.
Hey, this is going to be an extra special one.
Yeah, absolutely.
We didn't get it last year, dude. So
God.
this is going to be a big treat for everybody.
Yeah, really cool too because it's in Indiana.
Yeah,
Yes.
That's true.
Hoosier State.
And one other thing, just on college basketball, that I'm really excited to see: undefeated Gonzaga. Can they finally close the deal? We saw them get to the national championship game a couple years ago. I'd love to see a story like that with a mid-major. You haven't seen it.
I know there's some discussion about this. Is Gonzaga your number 1 team in the country? Do you guys feel like Gonzaga's played the best so far? I mean, obviously, I think the big debate about the number 1 team in the country is that, and Gonzaga being it, is the fact that their schedule is so weak once it gets to conference play. Right. But they've beaten some good teams. This West Virginia team is playing today. They're they're the 6th. They're number 6 in the nation. They beat them by 5 points. Unfortunately, we didn't get that Baylor matchup that we should have gotten.
Hopefully in the tournament.
Yeah, I feel like the thing with Gonzaga is they have such a solid program, dude, but they are in that weaker conference. It'd be nice. We were said, it'd be nice to see them get into the Pac-12 somehow, some way. Compete with those
just
schools.
to see what they could do, But listen, this team this year, my personal opinion is winning the Pac-12 too. Maybe pick up a couple losses, but they're winning the Pac-12.
I mean, you have to think down the road. I could see that happening because we've seen more and more schools. I know they're not a Power 5 football program, but like Duke basketball only. I mean, I don't see why that couldn't happen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think another thing to point out about Gonzaga and why they may be different this year, they've won every single game except that West Virginia game by 10 or more points. They beat Kansas. They beat another ranked team. So crazy.
It's going to be a sick tournament.
Yeah. No, definitely pumped about it. It'd be nice to see, can UConn get in? Can they make a run?
It'd be nice to see them get in, bro.
Yeah.
I think they can win the conference. I think they can win that tournament.
Nice to see them back at the Garden,
Yeah.
But like you said, we'll get into this. We've got to go in more depth. I'm excited. This is my favorite time of the year.
Yeah.
So
March is always a good time.
Dude, spring training, fucking tournament.
Yeah. Really pumped for it. So any closing remarks from anyone? Anything else you guys have to add?
I'm just happy to be back.
Go Yanks.
Yes.
Yanks.
Yeah. And so that'll do it. Thanks everyone for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Peace.
Peace.